So I've got beginning fourth quarter orchestra for Cycle 1. And so I wanted to just show you our setup for playing music in the classes. So like I've mentioned before, I've got a couple of backups systems so that all of the music that you've been listening to at home matches up with the timing of the music that we have in class, just to help make things smooth and easy. So perhaps the most ideal setup to use in class, and you're still welcome to use your own phone if that was something you'd prefer, but this is a setup I have for this year. So in each lab will be a CD player that will travel in the art bin, and then each CD player will also have this little old school iPod. And so first off, this little cable connects to the bottom here, all right? Just make sure that's all the way snug in there. And then on the CD player, it connects to the aux in there, okay? And just make sure that's snug in. It doesn't matter what function it's on here, just as long as it's not off, which is the middle one. So CD is fine. This is the volume, obviously louder, turning it towards the back. And it doesn't matter what it's on, over here, okay? Make sure it's plugged in to the wall, and then you can just start playing from here. So touch this bottom circle, that turns it on, and then you slide it over. Okay, so if I go back to the home screen by touching that circle, everything's located just in music. Don't go to iTunes, go to music. That's just on this specific device. Okay, and then here's our music, the playlist. So if it's not on playlist, just tap playlist. And then here we have instrument samples. So those are specific instrument sounds, just if you want to practice listening. Okay, you can listen to those. And then you go back, arrow up here. And then if I wanted to go back to what I had playing, you just tap that up there, which says now playing. Okay, so back to playlist. So we have the classical music for dummies. That's all in this one playlist. If you would like to play through the overview of where we're going, like from the guide, those three pieces, because you guys all have a copy of this book, we can just share this here. Okay, so, but here they are. You can just tap on that to play it. And so the time will play up here. I'm not going to actually play the music, but so the time will scroll up here. If you don't see that, you just tap the center of that screen while it's playing. Okay, so if I tap it again, it'll show me, and that'll move along, so you can keep track of the time there. Okay, I can just press back to go back to that playlist or back to all the playlists. And then to show you for week 19, I had to abbreviate it so that you can see they're all in order here. But this is the Britain Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. And so that you can see which piece is playing at a time. Okay, so if I tap this, it'll start playing, and you can follow along with the timing. Okay? And so these each play theme. Right, that melody that we hear is the same over and over again, but played by the different families. And then they will be some variations. That is what you see next here. Okay, but you see the instruments are still to the side there. So if I tap this one that's kind of long, if you just turn it sideways, you'll still be able to you'll still be able to see the full title there, okay? And going back. Okay, all right, and just make sure you're in playlist, okay, because the albums might get confusing, all right? So same thing, kind of system for the other weeks, all right? So that's the iPod. You can just keep it all connected, all right, and just unplug it, turn it off, and unplug it, and put it back in the bin, pass it along. And then just to refresh you on what's in the fine arts binders is some files from CC Connected, picture of what an orchestra looks like, if that's something you choose to use, comparison guides of the different periods, seating charts, and then a quick overview of the different periods of classical music, and then talking about the different families, some CC files that you guys already have, okay? And then color copies of the instrument families in here too. You'd be welcome to take those out and put them around the room and play the different instrument sounds if you wanted to, and have students go to the family that it belonged to. And then after that are the hard copy CDs. So if the iPod wasn't working for you for some reason, your phone wasn't working, you could just use the CDs in here too. Okay, so that first one was just the instruments, and then the classical music for dummies, and then the young person's guide to the orchestra, and then maybe it'll focus there. So you can see that the track numbers are still the same here. This is the exact same piece is on the iPod, okay? And the timing here is just 2 seconds off. I don't know why that is, but it's just 2 seconds more than what shows up on iPod. You'll still, but if just follow track numbers, you'll be good with that. Okay, here's a listening map to go along with the young person's guide to the orchestra. And update from last year is that the track numbers are put underneath here just to help you keep track of where you are. Another helpful piece for week 19 is just to introduce the 5 basic elements of music, right? So these just kind of, so for orchestra, we're helping students focus on, from names, right, that acronym, the attending to the music, so working on skills of listening, active listening, and then also expressing. And so using this vocabulary, the 5 basic elements of music, helps us to use words to describe what we're listening to, and helping us to listen more attentively, right? So the melody, what instrument is playing the main voice, harmony, what other instruments might be playing in the background or playing a echo, and the rhythm, so pulse beat, division of beat, measures, and then form, how maybe for this first week we have that theme that each of the families plays, musical families plays, instrument families, plays. So theme is something that repeats over and over again, and that's a type of form. And then color, which is something that we talked about also during Tin Whistle, which is dynamics and tempo and articulation, short notes or long drawn out notes. So you can bring in some of that grammar of just not necessarily quizzing students on it, but that is just how you're talking about the music, or stopping and asking them questions, engaging them in what's something to listen for that's coming up next, or something they've heard, just to help them actively listen. Okay, so there's some ideas. Of course, let me know if you have any questions.